Good afternoon. My name is Mia Rabson, and I'm a reporter with the Canadian Press, and I'll be moderating this afternoon's press conference. We're here today with Senator Scott Tannas, and I'm sorry I don't have a full list of everybody else with you, so I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. Go ahead and speak, and if there's questions afterwards, we'll turn to those. So go ahead.
Well, thank you, and I'll turn it over immediately to Grand Chief Bobby Cameron to give his remarks, and then he will turn it over to Chief Whitney, and we'll move along from there, and I'll speak at the end. Thank you. Chief Cameron.
Thank you, Senator. Good afternoon to each and every one of you. Say a few words in my First Nation language. Tansen nawago magantik. Nigan manto kanaskomten miogistagaw megwats. Egwa kihtem no kakyo kihteyak. And askomten egagi sumuan egagi simostamo. First and foremost, we thank our God, our Creator, for a beautiful day. We thank all our knowledge keepers, all our old people, our elders, for the prayers they say each and every morning for us. And for our chiefs that are at the table, our SIGA board chairman, Reg Belrose, and Senator Scott Tannas, our Senator Brian Standing Ready, and others who got to this point. This day in Canada, very important day towards a step of First Nation jurisdiction for gaming on reserve. Long standing item. Decades, we're talking decades, where finally Bill S-268 was introduced. For our Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations and many First Nations coast to coast to coast, it will continue to be the promotion and implementation of our treaty right to livelihood. That treaty-based economy is one of our focal points. So this particular piece, this particular bill, will enhance, improve First Nation quality of lives on our communities coast to coast to coast. It secures and acquires First Nation jurisdiction for gaming on reserve. For each chief and council and community out there, this is something we've been trying to achieve for several years, going on to 3 decades. Finally, some true reconciliation in action. This is what we say. We want to say on behalf of the chiefs across Canada who have supported this particular resolution at the AFN Assembly, which was created and developed at the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations, to seek First Nation jurisdiction, to make amendments to the Federal Criminal Code 207, where it says and will say and it will implement each chief and council in the area of gaming on reserve will have First Nation jurisdiction. When First Nations across this country strive in the economy through employment and revenue, the economy of Canada thrives. When we do well, everyone does well. Senator Scott Tannas and the many senators and some of the MPs that we have spoken to, we're calling on Prime Minister Trudeau, the Honourable Jagmeet Singh, the Bloc Quebec Law leader, and of course Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative leader, to support Bill S-268, because it's a good bill, it's a positive bill. It is going to not only enhance First Nation people communities' lives across Canada, but it will benefit the economy of Canada. This is a positive step forward. This is what we call true reconciliation, when First Nations are benefiting economically. We thank again the chiefs that are here, Chief Roy Whitney and your colleagues from the Stoney Nakoda Nations. We thank our chiefs and councils at the FSIN. We thank our chiefs coast to coast to coast at the AFN for supporting this important piece of work. Again, Senator Scott Tannas, for being a warrior, a champion on this particular bill, for seeing the future that this will benefit all of us, having that vision, because it takes a visionary to support this particular bill. Again, my name is Bobby Cameron. I'm the chief of the FSIN. I'm the AFN Regional Chief for Saskatchewan. Those are my words. Thank you for listening to me. Hi, hi.
Good afternoon, Chiefs. Senator Tannas, it's an honor to be here today to speak to the bill S28. I'm looking forward to, working with the Senate to ensure that there is passage that will go to the House. As Chief Cameron has said, we're looking for the support of the government. And Prime Minister Trudeau, the leader of the opposition, and conservative leader of the opposition is Pierre Pelliet. So it's an honor to be here. It's time that we need to look within at our own ability to respect our jurisdiction, the inherent and the treaty rights that our old people left us, the knowledge that they've shared with us, the jurisdiction of our land, and within the borders of our land. It's important as leaders that we demonstrate that, we have the people with the education in the background to be able to help in assisting and operating these new arrangements that will be made through the bill. And I look forward to, calling on the Senate to give passage and bring us to a place where we should have been in 1985. There was no consultation. There was no discussions with First Nations. We've never given up our jurisdiction. We've always had jurisdiction. And our people have told us that. Our old people instilled that in us. So we're just claiming back the jurisdiction of our community, the jurisdiction of our laws, and the jurisdiction to be able to run a community to the benefit of our people. So I'd like to thank you, and I call on our Premier, Daniel Smith, to support this bill, which will enhance our governments as First Nations, but it will also assist in enhancing theirs. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good afternoon. This is an important day for First Nations. Thanks to Senator Scott for his efforts and the rest of the Senate for hearing this bill. Assertion of treaty and inherent rights is very important to leadership in Saskatchewan, Treaty 4 territory. White Bear First Nation, Chief Bernie Shepherd really took a stand and asserted their nation's ability to enter into gaming. So this act gives control to First Nations over the conduct and management. Very important. We believe that First Nations are the best casino operators in the country. This bill will allow more jobs, more revenue going back to the First Nations. The beneficiaries the needs are so great. Poverty, addictions, chronic health at the community level. So our own source revenue is badly needed. So on behalf of Saskatchewan Indian Gaming Authority, the Board of Directors and the staff, this is a lifetime of commitment from some of our leaders in Saskatchewan, and I myself have dedicated nearly 20 years to this file, to implementing it. So thank you.
My name is Chief Aaron Young, Chiniki First Nation, Stoney in Alberta, just west of Calgary and into the heart of the Rocky Mountains in Banff. I'd like to say thank you on behalf of my people and of course the First Nations of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and moving this way. So with that said, at first I'd like to say a few words in my language, given tongue.
Pursuit of gaming to the provinces for their use in each province. 40 years have passed, and we are in an era of recognizing the rights of Indigenous governments, the sovereignty that they have. We are also in a process of economic and spiritual reconciliation. This bill simply asserts what we all know to be the truth, that Indigenous governments have sovereignty on their own lands, and in particular when it comes to business pursuits, pursuit of commerce, development, and all manner of activities on their reserves. This is, I think, one of the most important, and we will eventually hear from, we hope, from the Parliamentary Budget Officer on what the ramifications of this bill are financially to the benefit of the communities that that take up their rights. But it will be a very significant piece of economic reconciliation. Currently now, Indigenous gaming facilities see their provinces, and it's different by province, rake a significant amount of the funds into their general revenues. We suspect that the provinces will have something to say about this. This will have a cost to the general revenue coffers of the provinces. You know, I think we are now in an era, entering the era. We recognized sovereignty. We recognized the inherent rights. That was the easy stuff. What John F. Kennedy talked about many years ago was doing not just what is easy, but especially what is hard. And I think this will be the beginning. We intend to get out, Indigenous leaders, myself, other parliamentarians will be out talking to the provinces and convincing them that this is indeed the right thing to do at this time. 40 years. There's been 40 years of exclusive provincial jurisdiction, and this brings about the right, modest change that needs to happen. The bill is simple. We have used the language that was in the 1985 agreement and is in the criminal code and is in other areas of law when the rights were granted to the province. And we have just simply restated what was agreed upon then to include Indigenous governments on their own lands. It's that simple. And so we're very much looking forward to the next steps. We've tabled the bill today, and we will begin the process from here on. Thank you. We'll take questions.
I just have one question, which is what kind of support do you think you have in the Senate to get this bill passed? And have you spoken to any ministers on the government side to see if they support the idea?
Okay, yeah. I have not, but I responded to this because I heard from Indigenous leaders that they had spoken to ministers, and the right ministers, dare I say successive ministers, who were sympathetic to this, but never quite found the right time to do something about it. So we're here to help. Chief Cameron?
Yeah, thank you. And further to that, we have obviously lobbied not just the last few months, but several years, several senators, several MPs of different parties. So the support is there now just to get it into the House of Commons in the fall and, you know, have royal assent and move forward. Let's move forward together in a positive manner.
Okay, I think that's all for questions. This will be the end of the press conference. Thank you so much.